Picture the ultimate prehistoric caveman. He is ripped, shirtless, and holding a massive spear. He spends his days successfully hunting woolly mammoths and eating giant, sizzling slabs of meat around a roaring fire. This very specific image has spawned a multi-billion-dollar modern fitness and nutrition empire, the Paleo Diet. The pitch is incredibly simple and highly appealing. To achieve perfect human health, we are told, we just need to eat exactly like our Stone Age ancestors. No bread, no pasta, no beans, and no dairy. Just meat, fish, and some leafy greens. After all, we were the ultimate apex predators, right? Well, there is just one massive problem with this pop culture version of prehistoric life. It is almost entirely fiction. If you actually built a time machine and went back to the Paleolithic era to join a tribe for dinner, you wouldn't find a never-ending all-you-can-eat meat buffet. Instead, you would find a diet that would make a modern paleo influencer incredibly disappointed. To understand what ancient humans really ate, we need to strip away the modern marketing myths and look directly at the archaeological evidence, human biology, and the brutal reality of prehistoric survival. Let's start with the hunting. In movies, a group of brave cavemen effortlessly takes down a giant beast every single afternoon. In reality, hunting wild prehistoric game with wooden sticks and sharp stones was incredibly difficult, highly dangerous, and wildly unsuccessful. Animals in the wild do not want to be eaten. They are fast, aggressive, and perfectly adapted to their environment. A prehistoric hunting party could track an animal for days, burn thousands of calories in the process, and return to camp with absolutely nothing to show for it. If your tribe relied exclusively on hunting large game to survive, you would have starved to death in a matter of weeks. This brings us to the actual unsung heroes of the Stone Age survival story. We always use the term hunter-gatherers, but evolutionary anthropologists often joke that we should really call them gatherer-hunters. In many ancient environments, it was the gatherers, primarily women, elders, and children, who provided the absolute, unbreakable foundation of the tribe's survival. While the young men were out running through the woods for 3 days trying not to get mauled by a wild boar, the gatherers were quietly and reliably bringing in up to 70 or 80% of the tribe's total daily calories. And what exactly were they gathering? They weren't just picking a few delicate berries to garnish a steak. They were digging up the ultimate prehistoric gold mine: tubers, roots, underground storage organs of plants. Essentially, the ancient wild ancestors of the potato and the yam. These starchy, fibrous plants were absolutely everywhere. They didn't run away when you tried to stab them, and most importantly, they were incredibly dense in carbohydrates. Now, if you mention the word carbohydrates to a modern diet guru, they might panic. We are constantly told that carbs are the enemy of human health. But from an evolutionary standpoint, carbohydrates were the exact biological rocket fuel that built the modern human being. You see, the human brain is a biological anomaly. It is massive, and it is an absolute energy hog. Your brain makes up only about 2% of your total body weight, but it furiously consumes 20% of your daily calories just to keep the lights on. And here is the crucial biological fact. Your brain runs almost exclusively on glucose. It does not run on steak. While protein and fat are absolutely essential for building muscle and maintaining cell structures, converting pure protein into the massive amounts of glucose required by a rapidly expanding human brain is a wildly inefficient and metabolically exhausting process. In fact, if you eat a diet of strictly lean wild meat and nothing else, your body eventually suffers from a very real, very dangerous condition called protein poisoning, historically known as rabbit starvation. Ancient humans knew this instinctually. They desperately craved fat and carbohydrates just to stay alive. But there was a catch. Raw tubers and roots are incredibly tough, fibrous, and very hard for a human stomach to digest. This is where our ancestors unlocked the ultimate evolutionary cheat code: fire. When you take a tough, starchy root and throw it into the hot coals of a campfire, something magical happens. The intense heat breaks down the complex starches, softening the rigid plant fibers and making the calories incredibly easy to absorb. Cooked carbohydrates delivered a massive, instant payload of easily digestible glucose directly into the human bloodstream. Many evolutionary anthropologists now strongly believe that it was this exact combination, the discovery of fire and the cooking of starchy root vegetables, that provided the massive energy surplus required to grow our giant brains. We didn't just evolve to eat meat, we evolved to eat cooked carbohydrates. The humble potato, in all its wild, dirty forms, is just as responsible for human intelligence as the mammoth. We don't have to guess about this either. The proof is literally trapped right inside the teeth of ancient humans. When bioarchaeologists examine fossilized dental plaque, also known as dental calculus, from Neanderthals and early Homo sapiens, they don't just find meat fibers. Under a microscope, they find the undeniable remnants of seeds, nuts, tree bark, and highly complex cooked starches. Recently, scientists even found evidence that our ancestors were grinding up wild oats and roots to make primitive, roasted flatbreads tens of thousands of years before the invention of agriculture. The true paleo diet was never a strict, low-carb meat festival. It was an incredibly diverse, highly opportunistic menu of absolutely anything they could safely get their hands on. Furthermore, the entire concept of eating like a caveman today is based on a massive agricultural illusion. If you go to a modern grocery store and buy a grass-fed steak, some broccoli, and a banana for your paleo diet, you are not eating prehistoric food. Every single item in that store has been genetically modified through thousands of years of selective breeding by human farmers. Wild broccoli never existed in the Stone Age. It was artificially engineered from a bitter wild mustard plant. A wild Paleolithic banana was small, tough, and completely packed with giant hard seeds. Even the prehistoric animals our ancestors hunted were incredibly lean, tough, and gamey, bearing absolutely no resemblance to a modern, farm-raised, fat-marbled cow. You simply cannot eat like a caveman today because caveman food no longer exists. The beautiful, awe-inspiring truth about ancient human diets is not strict restriction, but infinite adaptability. Human beings are the ultimate omnivores of planet Earth. We survived the brutal ice age, crossed scorching deserts, and settled in incredibly dense, toxic jungles, not because we had one strict magical diet, but because we could adapt our digestive systems to extract fuel from virtually anything. A prehistoric tribe living in the freezing Arctic survived almost entirely on whale blubber and seal meat, while a tribe living in the tropical rainforest survived mostly on wild fruits, honey, and starchy roots. Both tribes were completely healthy. Both tribes were eating a true paleo diet, perfectly adapted to their specific environment. So, the next time you feel a wave of modern guilt for eating a baked potato, a bowl of rice, or a piece of bread, you can let it go. You don't need to cosplay as a prehistoric mammoth hunter to be healthy. The real, undeniable lesson from our Stone Age ancestors is that the human body is an incredibly resilient, brilliantly adaptable engine. They didn't survive by strictly avoiding carbohydrates. They survived by working together, sharing whatever they could dig out of the earth, and cooking it around a warm, communal fire.